Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I am Andy RC and today I'm going to be checking out the FQ777 FQ02W quadcopter. This is a toy grade quadcopter and I get asked a lot on the channel, why do I review toy grade quadcopters? And for me the answer is simple really. I started off with a toy grade quadcopter and I think a lot of people do, and I think once you get up to the high end it's easy to say that toy grade quadcopters are junk and why would you bother with them, but I think a lot of people can't afford straight away to go to something like even a Ishin Wizard, which, you know, these days not that expensive. By the way, I've got the Ishin Wizard, the updated version, coming. It's saying it's shipped, so hopefully that should get here soon. But I think there is a huge market for the toy grade. So this one, I think it costs about £44, and you may even get one given to you as a present if you have never flown a quadcopter before, because they're relatively cheap. This one, it's a folding one and also has got these legs as well. Now the legs do screw in, you get given some screwdrivers with it and you can screw those in, but I think they would stay in without the screws, otherwise, see, it doesn't compact down so much if you screw the legs in. So we have these little clips here that just clip in. It's quite hard to clip them in, and this of course is a brushed model. So these clips at the back here, they're very difficult to get in, but there we go. So it's Wi-Fi FPV, this one, and anyone who has progressed from a toy grade quad will know that Wi-Fi FPV, you can't really use it. You can only really use it to sort of line up your shot, and yeah, you want to get a 5.8 gigahertz one really if you can afford it. The thing is though, with a 5.8 gigahertz model, it's usually more expensive, and with the Wi-Fi versions you just stick your phone on there and it gets the video feed from your phone. It is a little bit laggy, it's a little bit jerky, and you can only fly out for about 30 meters or so. So this one, you get given 2 spare props with it. You're also given prop protectors, but I haven't installed those. And then the battery is proprietary. It's 850 milliamp. It is a 2S, and the charger just plugs into the balance port there and it charges it up. So we don't have an SD card on here. We record the video feed direct to the phone, so it's going to be standard definition. I think they say, is it 0.5 megapixel camera? It doesn't really matter what the number is because it's going to be low quality anyways. So we push the battery in there like that, and then we've got a power button on the top there. Now the biggest problem with this model that I was disappointed with was the controller. I mean, you know, I was flying the 5-inch Floss yesterday, and going from flying that to this is like stepping out of a Ferrari and then reviewing a Fiat Panda. So I have to be careful because, you know, all this is plastic, but you know, it is very cheap. I did not like, I just turned it on there, just turn that off for a second if it'll let me. There we go. What I did not like is the battery bay. So first of all, it's got a screw on there, you have to remove it. They have to put a screw on there to class it as toy grade. The batteries didn't reach the connectors. There's a little plastic ledge on here and I had to use some cutters to clip that away, and they still didn't touch, and I've got a lot of batteries and none of them worked. So what I did was I took some tin foil and just jammed it down the connectors there, and then everything was touching. So I think that's a pretty big fail there, but anyways, I got it working. But I think if you were given this as a present and it had that issue, you perhaps wouldn't know that. So this is an altitude hold quadcopter, so those are really good for beginners, I have found, because one of the hardest things to get the hang of is modulating the throttle. You don't have to do that with this. As far as I'm aware, it is in mode 2. I couldn't find a way to switch it to mode 1. If you know how to do that, then let me know in the comments, because I'm a mode 1 flyer myself, but I can fly mode 2. So we have got Xbox style sticks there. We've got a phone holder, you have to screw that in there, and then we've got these buttons here, and this one here is different rates. So I think we've got 3 or 4 different rates. I'll try that out on the flight. This one for doing a flip. Then we've got a camera and photo button, and those won't work because this is the Wi-Fi edition. Then we have got these trimmers here on the side. This A button here, I believe, does a really fast yaw a few times, so I have to try that one out. And then this next one labeled B, it turns the LEDs off, and then this button here is to turn on and off the transmitter. This button here with the H, it's not a auto home or anything like that. There's no GPS on this one, so those features are useless anyway. It's a automatic takeoff and landing button, and then these two here, they are headless mode and 1 key to return, and I do not endorse any of those modes, so I won't be showcasing them, but some people like them. I think they're terrible for beginners. These up here are fakes, they do nothing. So how do we get this thing going? Well, as soon as we turn this thing on, it's going to create a Wi-Fi hotspot. This model actually has got a removable camera, and I think you can get different versions of it, but really that's to benefit the manufacturers more, because it means they can just make the same model and then call it a different model by just switching out the camera. Well, there you go. Yeah, this is going to create a Wi-Fi hotspot when I turn it on, and then there's an app. The app is called, what's it called? JADUFO. And so you connect your phone to the hotspot, then connect to the app, and you can control the quadcopter from the phone, but just don't use the controller, because again you're limited to the 30 meters of range. You might get 50 to 80 out of this, so just use your phone to view the video and also record the video as well. So now I'm going to turn this thing on. Okay, I've connected it to it there. Can you see there that it says no internet? It comes up with a little warning thing at the top there, and you have to tap that and then select yes, otherwise it won't work. And then let's go into the app there. So I'm gonna be screen recording this at the same time as well. So you can change it to a different mode here if I go into the settings, but that's just the mode on the screen, and I'm not going to be using that. So let's just click play, and we should be getting something through there. Nice sunny day here for once. I'm just gonna start recording there, so that's recording now. And then let's stick the phone in the holder. It doesn't fit in there very well, and yeah, the weight of it's causing it to move around a little bit there as well. So I think to take off, we just press the H button. Of course, I need to turn this on first, I think. There we go, so it's now bound. So yeah, I think the H button is going to get it going. We can calibrate the accelerometer by both sticks down to the right, and I wonder if we can arm it in any other way other than pressing that takeoff button. So let's have a look, shall we? So let's see if we can do both sticks down to one side. No, that's not doing it. So is it just the takeoff button then? Looks like it. So it's catapulted itself into the air like a couple of meters. I'm in the lowest rate here and it seems very docile. So let's try up the rates a little bit. Second, third, not a huge amount of difference. Back to first. So I think is this just 3 rates? That's 1, that's 2, yeah, 3, that's it. That's your lot. Oh, it's been a while since I flew mode 2. Let's get this thing close to us. Seems to fly fairly stably. When I yaw it sort of lifts, but oh, I can forgive it for that really. Picture quality is looking pretty good on here. Right, let's try the fast yaw thing. See what happens. Oh, it just yaws around on its own. Is it gonna stop? It stops when you touch on the controls. Let's see if it stops by pressing that button again now. So, going crazy? Yeah. So if you go on to the controls, I mean, what's that really doing now? Is it a faster yaw rate than actually putting the yaw in? I don't think so. Let's try it again. So, actual yaw rate, and then button, same. So let's see what the flips are like. So you press the button once and then put in either your pitch or your roll. It'll either do a flip or a roll. Let's try that close up. Does it gain any height? Yeah, it gains height as well, so you don't have to do that, which is good for beginners. So I don't know what flight time we'll get on this thing, but 850 milliamps should be pretty good. We'll see. See if the video's still going. It's difficult to tell. It seems to be. It looks clear to me on the phone, the picture. Stuttering a little bit. That might be because I got my screen recorder going, but these things do tend to stutter anyways. Nice little funnel there. I mean, it's, you know, not the calmest of days today, but this one's flying fine. And see, this is what you kind of do with these quads. You fly them line of sight, and then you can just look down at your video every now and then. You can't really use the video to solely do FPV with, because you'll run out of range. And then when you run out of range, you're not looking at your quadcopter, it may fly away. And do not rely on those one key return buttons for that. Let's see if we can get some speed on with it. Yeah, fairly fast in this high rate. I think the biggest fail for me is that battery bay though. I think if this was your first ever quadcopter, you'd be sending that back if you didn't know what you were doing. I mean, you'd think that the controller was dead. But of course, what I did was I took the controller apart and then put a multimeter on the terminals, and nothing was coming through, because when you turn a controller on and nothing happens, could be a number of things. But in this case, it was just that the battery terminals were not touching. Nice shot of the moon in the background there. I don't know if that's going to come through on the camera. Yeah. Definitely different than flying my 5-inch. But you gotta respect these, you just have to. Otherwise it's like buying a supercar and then saying that normal cars are no good, they're no use, you know. If this model gets someone in the hobby, then it's done its job. And you can see here it flies, and it flies pretty nice as well. Now it's pretty sunny here today, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show off the LEDs, but apparently we can turn them off with that B button. So let's get my finger on that, and then press B. Yeah, and the LEDs turn off. What I'm just going to do here is just stop the video recording just so we have something, because what can happen is these cheaper models, they can lose the connection and then the video recording stops and you lose everything. It's not so bad on a phone because it's recording it to your phone, but I have had that before. So let's start that video recording again now, and if it captures anything else, it's a bonus. It's really difficult to sync these videos up because what happens is when the phone screen locks up, which it often does with these, then it will drop the frames, which means that the video will go out of sync of the video camera that's on my head, which of course isn't dropping any frames. So if you're looking at all these videos and thinking they don't match up, that's why it's very difficult in the post-production or in the video editor to get them to match up. I have to say I'm impressed with how this one's flying. It flies nice. You know, if we'd have had this even just 10 years ago, we'd have paid a fortune for it, and now we're paying just like £44 for it, you know. And then people turn around and say it's junk. Oh, it might be junk to them, but it's not to me. But I think I'd have been very disappointed if I got this as my first quad and that battery thing was a problem. But you know, hopefully if you got this, you can watch my video and hopefully get it sorted with just a little bit of tin foil. This has got a great flight time on it. That's something as well, that if you go into quadcopters and get a mini quad straight away and then you get a 4-minute flight time, you might be pretty disappointed with that. We could be getting like a 10-minute flight time with this, which is much more respectable. And I'm not saying that 4-minute flight time's no good on a racing drone, because you've had enough after 4 minutes. But if you're learning, that's no good really, because you'll be getting a 4-minute flight time and just flying it around like you would one of these. So get something like this first. See, it's I've got a little bit of a wobble on the descent, but nothing too bad. Looks like the camera's still going. I like it. I like how it flies. Plenty of power. It ascends nicely, it descends nicely. I believe it has got also one of those shut-off things, and I think that's both of the sticks out to the side, and the motors will just shut off if you get in trouble. So that might be worth remembering, you know, if you get into trouble. Looks like we've got an LVC now, so I'm going to see if it lands itself, because these models that have the altitude hold, they sometimes land themselves and it saves the battery. So let's see if it does that. Might just stop the video there. And then let's see what happens, because quite often these models have an early LVC. LVC is the battery warning, so that we don't over discharge the battery, because it can kill the battery, and that would be no good with this model because it's proprietary. It could quite well fly around like this for another couple of minutes, so we'll see. The models really are the best when they land themselves. If this one just falls out of the sky, that would be no good. There we go, it landed itself. So yeah, that was a pretty long flight time. I'll put the flight time over here. And there you go, that is my review of the FQ777 FQ02W, I think it's called. Man, I struggle with these names. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.